You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 22, Easy to Digest.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that can never have enough experience points. I am Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
With you, as always, Raven Perez.
And, we are back again for our 22nd episode. I had nowhere to go with that.
It's a show that's easy to digest. Oh.
We got a lot to cover. This is a really awesome issue. I think we're going to have a lot of things to discuss about it, so I think we should just jump into our Erik Larsen news and get through it so we can get through this episode without spending 3 hours on it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good plan. So for our first bit of news, it's been announced that Savage Dragon issue 191 will have a backup by artist Scott James. He will be illustrating what looks to be a Max Damage backup story. Max Damage, of course, is a long-time kind of background character. He's had some appearances in Savage Dragon history, but not recently. In fact, the last time I recall seeing him was in issue 115.
Yeah, that might be right.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know what kind of story he has to tell, but it'll be interesting. But anyway, Scott James, of course, is the artist that did the Alex Wilde backup, Getting Ugly. That was in the back of Savage Dragon 143. He did a one-off Hostess Pie spoof. That was actually a few issues ago in 188. And in this very issue 190, he's got a Deadly Duo backup. We'll be talking about that later. He's got a blog, of course. We can find his blog at scottjamesart.blogspot.com. Based on the pages shown, we should also see the return of villains Weed and Major Disaster. I can't even remember the last time I saw Weed. I think it was during Gang War.
No, he's shown up, I don't know, post-Savage World. There was when She-Dragon moved into Dragon's house for an issue or two, they battled Weed. I think it's got that, it's on the issue that's got that romance cover looking issue.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Huh.
And I think he's shown up here and there, but in the background.
Weed's that guy he's kind of got that, in that issue you're talking about, he had that double-page spread. And it's
he kind of looks like a Swamp Thing type character. He shoots his arms turn into long vines, kind of.
He's kind of Swamp Thingy, Man Thingy.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got an interesting look.
Him and Major Disaster are both cool guys that really haven't been in the book a ton. So.
No, I think Major Disaster was only a Freak Force guy, maybe. I don't know if he even showed up in the book in the main Savage Dragon book.
Now, do we know if this backup is being written by Scott James?
I don't think so. It's probably Larsen. I think Larsen.
So not
did the
Gavin,
backup
because
with
does that mean everyone's not destined to die? Cleaning house.
I don't know. We'll see. It seems like Erik's really cleaning house on his characters, as we'll see in this issue review for 190. But it'll be interesting to see.
Well, I think it'll be Larsen pinned, but it's not confirmed here. I don't know. We'll get more info on it.
Right.
Rolling right along, the cover for Savage Dragon 195 was released, and that's a pretty sweet cover. It features Malcolm. He's holding Maxine as they leap off the skyscraper roof top. It's being destroyed by a new villain. Sort of looks like a Destroyer from Thor. And, of course, you can see that cover at dragonfan.net. But all in all, I think it's an excellent, playing off the last cover where Malcolm was... he's got some high-flying action on his first two covers, doesn't he?
Yeah, 194 was like that kind of weird-looking, like, split-colored character that was, like, climbing up on a rooftop, like, swinging Malcolm around from a skyscraper. And this, 195 is, like, Malcolm jumping off the roof of a skyscraper while it's getting blasted.
But I love it.
They're great covers.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that Maxine has finally made the cover.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
the colors are great on it, too, from what I've seen.
Oh yeah, it's a killer cover. It's fantastic, and you got to wonder, is that coastline in the distance? What's going on?
No, it's what's Chicago on? One of the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Great
Oh, it's
Lakes.
Great
Chicago's got a coast.
I was thinking maybe in this bold new direction he moves, but I forgot about the Great Lakes of Chicago. Poop.
I really hope that Maxine is like not so much the new Alex Wilde, but more that than like Debbie Harris. I really hope she lasts.
Yeah. I think she will.
I want her to become
But
a real
then
magical
again-
girl and fight crime.
Then again, I've said that before, and Erik sets you up and then just brings you right down and kills characters off. But I could see her lasting for a bit.
And you know what? I like the logo. Haters, so suck it.
Oh, the new dragon logo. I think I'll get used to it. I like it the more I see it on these new covers that Erik's been releasing. I still don't think I like it better than the original, but
Right.
it's growing up.
Yeah, I mean I don't hate it, but intolerance phase.
The minute you see it, though, doesn't it just convey new?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. It seems a little, retro to convey new. I don't know.
I mean, for this book.
I mean, it's it's different, but it doesn't suggest new as in shiny iPod sleek. I don't know.
I mean, I like it, though, because it's classic.
It-
I feel like it will still hold up 10 years from now, whereas you look at a lot of old 90s books and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and you look at some of those
I don't know. I still think it looks too much like a
logos.
font.
yeah.
I mean, the Savage Dragon, the current logo is like, it's created to be a logo. Like this just looks like a font, and I guess it works for what it does, but it doesn't really feel memorable, at least to me.
Yeah.
You're not zoning in on that distinct AAA triangle. The AVA. I can't. Every time I look at this logo, it's like I can't stop looking at it.
Was it tangents?
Yeah, no, it's good though. It's that kind of visual thing that pattern that draws your eye in. Oh well, that's nerdy, but I don't care.
So should we move on to the next bit of information
Let's.
here? Savage Dragon 20th anniversary signing event is going to be in Oakland, California. Erik will be appearing at Collector's Haven, which again is in Oakland, to do a special signing in honor of the 20th anniversary of Savage Dragon. It's going to be held Saturday, August 31st from 1 to 3 p.m. And according to Collector's Haven, if there's time permitting, Erik has agreed to do 1 or 2 commission pieces. For further details, you can go to dragonfan.net, and we've got the story up there with a link to Collector's Haven's Facebook page, so you can get all the information if you are in that area to get down there and get some books signed.
Wish I was there.
I know, East Coast love. We need some.
He's not making it to Baltimore Con this year.
No,
Stinks.
no. he
So I
said
guess
it
our
was-
FINcast get together will have to be postponed another year.
Yeah, unless I don't know. Is there another New York Comic Con coming or anything? I don't know.
I haven't heard anything from Erik that he was going to any East Coast cons.
Yeah, that's usually where I catch him, is in Baltimore. So, oh well.
Someday.
So let's jump into our trivia segment. last episode's question was, at the 2004 Wizard World Chicago convention, Erik Larsen was giving away a limited edition promotional item to promote the Savage Dragon for President story arc. What was the promotional item? Did you guys know this?
I had no clue.
I had my suspicions. I thought it was like a button,
Yeah.
but
Well, we got a couple of letters, and both people who wrote in got the right answer. We had John Penozzi, who wrote in. He said the promotional item given away at the 2004 Wizard World Chicago Con was a limited edition Dragon / Your Ass in 04 bumper sticker. So,
oh my god,
that
I just
was
realized
correct.
the pun.
You did not.
Dragon Your Ass.
I'll be honest, I thought your ass was just funny because your ass. I never really put the connection, the dragon part.
Jim, you did not. It was the whole joke the whole time. Dragon
I do
your
want
ass.
one of those stickers. I think I've seen them somewhere once online, but I haven't seen them in years. But it's a pretty cool little, like, a political kind of bumper sticker. I don't know
Okay.
anyone that has one. Do you?
Check eBay. I
Yeah.
bet there won't be any.
No, I did check. Actually, I was thinking about giving it away as a prize if I could find one, but
They're all stuck to
anyway.
2004 automobiles.
That's it. You'll have to. That'll be like the story of Craig's hunt. It will end with him having to buy a 2004 a total dud of a vehicle, like a hoopty.
04 Civic with a John Kerry bumper sticker on the other side.
Be like, look, man, can't you just sell me the bumper? Get back
Um,
car.
Our good friend Gavin also wrote in. Of course, he got the right answer. He said it was a Dragon Your Ass bumper sticker, and I still need to get one from somewhere.
Oh,
Oh,
So if he doesn't have one,
oh
we're in
my.
trouble.
I guess the rest of the story was that you look over and Gavin's in the bushes with a gun, about to snipe you as you buy the last Dragon Your Ass bumper sticker.
So since we don't have a copy of the bumper sticker to give out, and Gavin is disqualified because he's Savage Dragon's editor, we have an exclusive item that was featured at another con for the winner. So for guessing the correct answer, John Penozzi wins a 1996 WonderCon exclusive variant of Savage Dragon 27.
Nice.
wait, isn't that the president issue? The Obama
Number
issue?
27?
Which issue is that?
No, number 27?
I don't know. I don't know. I was curious which one it is.
No, number 27, if you remember, 27 was the cover of Rapture asking Dragon to marry
issue
him.
27. Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you said 127.
No, I could hear you typing away in the background, by the way.
I just wanted to see it.
the variant is like Dragon's face of like shock.
And his puckered
So like
lips.
if you had the original, it was like Rapture's face, and then the variant, the WonderCon variant is
He's
Dragon's
puckering up
reaction.
saying, no.
Which
You're
is a pretty
prostitute.
cool variant. I like the play on that.
Yeah, I mean, she's saying, will you marry me? And he's saying no. It's actually pretty interesting.
Oh, that's a
so,
pretty
yeah.
sweet swag.
Yeah, so John, send in your address information, and we'll get that out to you.
Is it true, I just want to ask Craig before we move along, that this is your plan to get the mailing address of all Savage Dragon fans so that you can kill them all and become the new Gavin?
You got it.
I
He
knew
was
it.
dragging your
Yeah.
ass the whole time. I mean, Ronald Winston your ass the whole time.
It just made so much sense.
Actually, all I need is Gavin's address.
Well,
Once you eat his heart, you gain all his powers.
that's it. So like
Or once I eat his heart, I just grab all his original art.
That's one of his powers.
So let's talk about this episode's question.
It's a real fishy one.
So for this episode, question is, Name the comic book issues in which Mako, whose real name is Lou Drum, appears as his normal human self. And we're going to step up the ante here. The winner for this one will receive the Chris Giarrusso variant cover to Savage Dragon 183. So Chris G, the guy who did G-Man, did that little cartoony cover of Savage Dragon 183, which is very hard to find.
Is it?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
Interesting, because I got that one in my pull box.
Nice.
But Jim, you don't buy physical comics anymore.
I was at the time.
Aha!
That was like last fall. I didn't switch until December.
Okay.
So if you guys out there don't have that variant copy and you need it,
Scour your
get
issues.
your answers in. Yep,
All
and,
Mako appearances. Even ones we don't know about.
You guys can send your responses to savagefincast@gmail.com, and we'll read your answers on the next episode.
We will.
And we'll praise you
It's
mightily.
a thing that we do.
And last but not least, in terms of reading letters to the show, this wasn't in regards to the trivia, but we got a post on dragonfan.net in regards to the last episode from listener Nicholas Grayson, and he wrote in saying this was a great episode. I was surprised how well the hosts enjoyed / followed the Jennifer subplot. I had no idea what was happening. The breaking up of the story over multiple pages and the awkward reveal of Gertie and Helen confused me to no end. And the Deus Ex Machina of Negate was a total cop-out. So,
I love that as a comment. That's such a fantastic, because it starts so positive and then
yeah, it was,
all downhill.
So I don't know. What did you guys think? I mean, I didn't think we were. He says he was surprised at how well the hosts enjoyed the subplot. I thought we said we were a little confused.
One of you hated it outright or didn't care.
I didn't care
Raven
because
didn't
I
care.
guess I was real indifferent, because to me, I came into the series super piecemeal.
Right.
So for me, the whole like Helen, Gertie, yada yada, it just didn't have any kind of, and I had no connection to her sister or the siblings. What was it, Bloop and
Right.
Animal? I just no connection there really. So for me, it didn't drag it down, but I was just like, nee.
I found it interesting, but I thought the execution was a little bit subpar, because I thought a lot more could have been done with the whole dual personality of mutation. It was never played up. It just sort of was.
Yeah.
This was basically, they was just thrown out there and then finished in like a few pages, and I thought more could have been done with that. So I was disappointed.
I feel like Eric's just trying to wrap things up on the old chapter of Savage Dragon and move on, and he had this kind of sitting out there, and it was just his way of quickly finishing it up. But I did think it was weird to kind of bring Bloop and Animal into it, as her brothers. And I think I talked about it on the episode. I'm just confused about why it was never mentioned before. Why, it just seems to be like, oh yeah, that's our sister, but they never mentioned Jennifer was their sister previously, and Jennifer never mentioned anything about her brothers being in the vicious circle. So it just seemed really weird to me, and I don't get it. And I know we'll talk about it, but Bloop and Animal kind of appear in this issue too, and it just, in this issue 190, which we're going to talk about, and it just seems to me like I don't know why they're being like just pushed in front so much in these last few issues, like they were any kind of a major character, because they really weren't.
But they're tied to a semi-major character. I mean, we'll talk about it.
Even that connection was flimsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will.
What do you? Go ahead.
I will agree that I feel Negate is a bit of a Deus Ex Machina.
Which I was okay.
A literal walking one.
And I just realized I think I called it Deuce instead of Deus Ex Machina, so I feel like an idiot for pronouncing that wrong.
I never liked Negate conceptually, because he just kind of feels like a reset button. I wouldn't be sad if he got his head knocked off soon.
Yeah, he's kind of a cool character. I mean, he takes away people's powers, but
I think he was cool when Johnny Redbeard was giving everybody powers. He was kind of like his insurance, it made sense. But now he's just kind of a random dude who shows up when he's needed. I don't know.
I like the idea of him because there's not really a character whose powers are to remove other characters' powers. I guess just not. Maybe I'm not thinking of it. But like, you are right. He doesn't have enough presence. I think it's kind of funny that he's such a dorky, crappy-looking dude, but at the same time, you get that there's like kind of a respect there because here's a guy that if he touches you, you're just a normal guy.
Right.
So it is. I like a lot about what's negate. I like a lot about the character, but as far as him just popping up or whatever, I don't guess I felt like it was a total cop out. It was just kind of, it was left field.
Yeah. Nagay had this one really good scene, I think, back during Gang War where some guy was trying to take over and then he didn't have powers anymore and got murdered. I mean, that was funny. But that's like all Negate's good for, really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's like a secret weapon, you know. He's like your.
Only he's not because you don't see him enough in that role.
Yeah.
Like I can't when Dragon got negated and Jennifer got negated. It's like if I remember correctly, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but he just sort of his arm just reaches out and grabbed him out of nowhere with no setup.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's almost always how he is always in the book, though. So it's kind of like his shtick almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're both like.
Now
yeah.
I will say, just we're getting dwelling on this a little long, but I wanted to also comment on his comment about how the issue kept jumping between scenes. I actually like that a lot. I thought it was a good way to divide the issue and keep its.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Forward. I thought that worked pretty good, but that's just.
I mean that was the only part of the issue that was a little shaky for me. I love the issue other than that.
Yeah.
I will end this then by saying, "Sweet Domino Avatar, Nicholas Grayson," and thank you for commenting.
Yes, thank you for commenting. And if you want your comments read live on the internet, comment.
SavageFincast@gmail.com. Write us.
Anyway, Savage Dragon 191, fellas. What do you say we tear into it?
You read off the agenda. Savage Dragon 190.
190. Well, that's
we aren't
what
that clairvoyant. I mean, we're a day early, but not a month.
That's what I meant in my soul.
So
190.
Now 190.
How awesome is it that we get a digest version and a regular size version?
I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 12 and a half of awesome.
Yeah.
I want to be more excited, but I do not have the digest version, so we'll see. I'm going to see if I can get it.
It's unfortunate because I think you, Raven, would appreciate what I'm about to say about the digest version. Okay, this is going to sound incredibly weird, and I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but Erik Larsen has created American manga.
This needs clarification.
Okay. Manga isn't an art style. Manga is Japanese comics, and they're made in a certain way. Basically, they're smaller in size, fewer panels. If you took this issue of Savage Dragon and took the color out and stuck it in Weekly Shonen Jump between Toriko and One Punch Man, you'd never be able to tell the difference. Because
so the
formatting and the pace is it's like reading the thing. That's the first thing that jumped to my mind is the pacing and the style and the formatting just seem like manga to me.
Isn't it a lot more pages?
Well, a little bit. I think it is a little long compared to some. But some manga I've read goes like 45 pages sometimes.
Oh, I meant it's a lot more pages compared to an American issue.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's a lot longer too. Well,
that's nice.
It's deceptively long, I guess.
I love the digest format. I like how you have more pages gives you twice the amount of chances for surprises.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying, those kind of turn the page and new scene or whatever. Like your eyes can't see what's coming next.
Right. We should probably clarify what exactly Erik has done here.
Oh yeah, in case you don't know.
He designed the format of issue 190 around this digest size, and digest in this case is something about the size of one of those Archie digests that they used to sell at grocery stores. if you're old enough to remember. I mean, they
They
still
sell
do,
it.
Still
but
do
they
in
aren't
some of
as
them,
prevalent as they were. Like,
Right.
I mean, it used to be I could find
I'll
them,
agree with
I
that.
could find them in my small town supermarkets like 10 years ago. Now I can't even find them at like Walmart or anything. But they're still out there, but they're not as common as they used to be. But anyway, it's about that size. But in this case, where in those comics, typically they take the full-size comics and just shrink them down into the digest, Erik has taken the digest size itself and created his comic with those dimensions in mind. So the panels, if I'm correct, I believe a friend of the show, Adam Pruitt, did a side-by-side comparison and showed that the panels in the digest edition are the same size as the ones in the regular American comic size edition.
Right.
Right.
They are.
So
it's not just Erik shrinking down.
he's
art
not shrinking down art at all.
those-
He's keeping them the same size. What he's done is he created it for this digest size, but then took the same panels, rearranged them into American comic dimensions, and created a second edition in regular comic size.
Right. So the digest is 64 pages, and
Regular one's
the
32.
comic is 32. And basically, he wrote the issue for the digest format, but in order for people to have their collection, you know, with all the same size Dragon comics and not having one comic that was like half the size, he decided he made a regular comic version. So I think the comic actually reads better because it was made for the digest.
Yes.
But you're not missing. I mean, I can't say you're not missing out on much, because you definitely should try to read the digest version because it's just awesome. But
Right, it's like
you get the same content, just not executed
the same way. It's
way.
like you mentioned how there's more pages. Basically, every time you turn a page, there's another surprise. In the regular one, where like 2 pages. Yeah, basically 2 pages, where in this case you'd have like a left side of page cliffhanger into another one in 2 pages. It's now 1 page.
Yeah.
So it reads fine, but it's not the way it's supposed to be, I guess, the way it was scripted.
I will
Right.
say, reading only the standard format thus far, I would like, because I'm gonna find it. If I don't, if they can't get a format, I'm gonna get one. But having only read what's cool about the experiment than what I'm getting is that for me, I didn't feel like my regular issue was lacking in any way.
Okay.
Like, it didn't feel like, oh man, this was meant to be a page flip surprise. So I think then, if that's what you're saying, that you feel like it was more perfect for the digest, I think I'll add to it that I think it was kind of an awesome experiment, because I don't feel like my normal issue was compromised by the experiment.
Well, I had the opportunity to read both editions. I read the
Okay.
digest first, and then I read the regular edition. One thing you did sort of miss out on is, how all those like not half page big panels, like what would be a big splash page or a double page splash.
Like on the very first page,
Like on the very
right?
first
Very
page.
first
you
page,
see that,
yeah,
that
you
little
got Mako.
quarter page splash. In the digest, that is a splash page.
Okay.
Right.
In the
And then there's a few points in this where you see, like on the regular size comic, you have almost like 2 separate scenes on one page, whereas in the digest version, the 2 scenes are separated.
Okay.
And you'll see as I'll point it out when we get to that, but yeah, you don't get any splash pages on the regular version.
well,
the regular
there
size
is
version.
sort of a double page splash, but it's like a double page splash with multiple panels.
Yeah. But you get full splashes that are a lot more effective, I think, in the digest version. But like you said, Raven, if you never saw the digest version, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
If you see the digest version, you're like, oh, I can see how this was written for the digest size. And it's a little more effective.
What's cool is I did get to see Adam's breakdown of how the panel flow works. So I understand that it's kind of an awesome way to work, because he didn't, as long as he followed a certain set of like panels, like grid format, like basically he couldn't just willy-nilly make whatever layout he wanted. He had to stick to kind of this formula, but as long as he stuck to that formula of panels, he was going to be able to split the art up on the pages without, having to resize anything.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. I think we had just the tiniest touch on this topic before we started. But you were saying, Jim, that you felt it was perfect for an iPad?
Yes, for the digest, as a side effect of this digest format, it's a little bit wider, ratio-wise, than a standard American comic, where a standard American comic on an iPad would have like black bars on the left and right side while you're reading it. This one fills the screen completely, and so it's seamless.
Because it's more of like almost more square shape,
right?
Not quite, but
right. Actually, if I remember correctly, the iPad is a 4:3, like an oldie style television.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's exactly that size, ratio-wise. Whereas modern televisions are 16:9, which makes them widescreen like television. Like movies. So yeah, that's one of the things about the iPad is it isn't actually wide. It is widescreen, but it's not that widescreen.
It's weird.
It is kind of weird, but it's great for comics.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I think if you had a format, granted, it takes away your freedom as a creator, but it would be fantastic to see another creator. Obviously, when you're in Savage Dragon, like you're in so many issues deep, you can't just suddenly stick to like rigid like panel formats. But it is kind of cool as an experiment, and that's what's awesome. I always tell like my friends that I'm trying to get to read the book, and it seems like I can get comic creators hooked on this book so easy because I tell them, and it's like Joe Keating said this little comment about like Savage Dragon being underappreciated for its experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're a comic artist, this book's insane because there's always some cool comic like idea, like the idea that you could make a format that would work perfect for iPads, it would work perfect for manga, it would work perfect for traditional format comics, all with you not doing anything other than just sticking to a rigid grid system.
Right.
That's awesome because I can tell you, your normal pages. Well, Jim, you read pages all the time on it. It's not necessarily the same thing to read a comic that was shoved on the iPad as it was something that was designed with its ratio in mind, right?
There's like a good example is Brian K. Vaughan's what's it called? The Private Eye. That digital comic he's been. Have you guys been following this at all?
I heard about it.
Okay.
I've not been
Brian K.
following.
Vaughan, big superstar comic creator, Why the Last Man saga, cool guy. He's got a digital comic called The Private Eye. It's a sci-fi comic. One of its core premises, it's only available digitally, so it's designed for the digital format in mind. So it's basically a comic flipped on its side, widescreen, and it's made specifically to be read in the landscape format. Not necessarily filling the screen, but in a more natural way. That the digital, your computer screen, your tablet is designed for all of those things rather than print.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of very interesting things going on with digital right now in format. Format. I don't know if I've ever brought it up in the show, but I'm kind of obsessive about format because there's just so many things you can do with comics.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, our industry is locked into like whatever size the American comic is, and it's very hard to convince anybody that any other shape is valid.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot has to do too with brick and mortar stores too. And like I was thinking, why wouldn't more people do digest? But you compare the digest size issue to like a full size issue, and now your shelf kind of retail space is a lot smaller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're
you're
a lot less noticeable.
Like, what if somebody made a comic in this digest size, like from the beginning, and like they made it so that it's for the digital, and then they also the print editions in digest form. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
That's what I was saying was so cool about this because it does answer like multiple problems layout wise. I mean, I am designing for print. I'm not super worried about digital, and really that's just my preference. But it's kind of like, when I go to a friend's house and they have the resolution bad on their monitor, and I see how crappy my work looks, I hate it. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's kind of cool that here's this like format that really, in one swoop, kind of answers like, oh, it's print, looks good on an iPad, it's digest, so it fits good on a screen.
I mean, your comic that you got printed is digest sized, right? Or at least it's.
Nah, it's bigger.
Oh, it is bigger.
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
I was kind of imagining like a little digest manga sized book.
They tried to sell me on digest, but I was like, nah.
Fascinating.
Go big or go home.
It'll be interesting to see that thing.
Wait till you see. It's good. It's a good looking book. Moving along, I guess.
Yeah, we should actually get into the issue now.
It was just such an awesome format experiment.
It was.
Seriously, it deserves a lot of talk about the actual format.
And that's the worst part is, apparently this thing got ordered really poorly.
Yeah.
Very, very low numbers, yeah.
So get your copies.
I don't think, unless you were a diehard fan, I don't think that a lot of people knew that there was a digest, you get two versions, or it seemed like it was hard to find that information out up until like the last minute.
I think Erik made a mistake releasing a standard size issue the same week. I think he should have made the digest version the regular edition and then put out a regular size version a month later.
Do you think that would have made people mad?
I don't know. I mean, as long as he announced it in advance, and then I don't know. It's like the Savage Dragon 7 thing where he came out with a replacement issue in the future.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like that. I mean, I think he should have stuck to his guns and made this be the issue. OCD collectors be damned.
Yeah, but he's not at a point where he can afford to lose more readers, so I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know how those things kind of work, but I'm just happy to have either option.
As we go through, you guys, where you have the option, you should comment on things that were executed that work better, you think, in the digest format.
Right. All right. Well, let's move along and get through this because we do have a lot to talk about. There's two backups on top of this, and we're already almost an hour into this.
So the big thing about this issue is it kind of centers around dragons in prison, and so is Mako. And as we all know, Mako has got a chip on his shoulder about Dragon because he's convinced that Dragon is at fault for killing the original Dart of who Mako loved.
So it's revenge in Mako's eyes.
It is.
A shot at revenge.
Justifiable.
Yeah. Of course, Dragon.
And we have a dual revenge story here too, because we have Osgood, who was Ronald Winston Urass's right-hand man.
Right. Of course, last issue, Ronald Winston Urass got his brains went out the back of his head, thanks to Dragon.
Right.
So now his assistant is taking over his role, or at least trying to. I'm kind of curious about this Osgood character and why he's I don't know, he's still pretty gung-ho about Urass's schemes.
But you can see that the scheme, and we should just mention that apparently everything, like the trial and like Dragon getting, cornered in prison by like cellmates and stuff, was supposed to be part of Urass's plan. So right. When he's talking, even on page 1, Osgood says, I don't quite have the pull. So already the plan is kind of falling apart,
Yeah, right. But he's working with Mako to kind of give him a shot at Dragon.
Because, Dragon's tough enough. He'll get beat up, but ultimately he'll probably overcome all these other mooks. But Mako might be the one guy who can take him one-on-one.
Right.
So we should call that page 1-2.
Page 1.
Page 1-2.
I gotta tell you, I love the first page in the splash. It's just Mako in your face.
Yeah.
And that's for the
digest. Raven, and you can't see it.
You can't see it.
Oh, shit.
But he's there.
Oh, shucks, fellas. He's plenty big on my page.
Although I will say, Mako looks. If you look at Mako closely in a straight on shot, he looks a little weird.
How so?
I don't know. It's just like he's got a circle for a head. You can't really see his nose. I guess he just always looks weird to me on a straight on shot.
He's a shark.
I like it. But...
He's a shark man. He's got that shark man shaped head.
So in this next scene, I had a couple of things I wanted to point out. This next scene that's in the book is Dragon talking to Malcolm. It's kind of like visiting hours, and they kind of discuss how, Dragon killed your ass. So I guess it's kind of public knowledge that he did that.
Yeah, I think so.
In the last issue, he spit his tooth through his head.
How does that even work?
Page.
I mean, is he like arrested again? Does he got to go to trial for murder again?
I think, though, I don't know. It seems to me, I can't pinpoint any specific event in my life, but it seems like to me when there was prison violence from somebody who was well known, like when Jeffrey Dahmer got killed, everybody knew. So yeah. It's kind of like, it's not quite that, Dragon's like Jeffrey Dahmer or whatever, but I'm saying that here's this guy who's, in the public eye and a ton of scandal for murder, and he's in prison and he's killing people. So it seems to me fairly logical that people would be like, oh god, he's a killer and he's in prison, he's not stopped.
Those can't possibly help, and that's really what Dragon and Malcolm are talking about here, because Malcolm killed Battle Axe last issue by accident.
I like that his old man throws it up in his face.
Well, and here's the other thing where I had a question about, though. He throws up like the whole Battle Axe thing. He talks about how Malcolm killed Warren Terror, and then he says, you let that school bully Adrian Weatherspoon get killed. And where did that come from? Did he really? I don't remember that. I thought just the Tyranians came and ripped him apart. I didn't know he...
I think Malcolm was there, and, he is supposed to be a hero, or at least he presents himself as one. So if you got an innocent civilian getting eviscerated in front of you, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess I just felt like it was like they were attacked by, these crazy monsters, and it was just, I didn't feel like Malcolm kind of stepped back and did nothing about it.
Really, because my memory,
I don't remember.
My memory was Weatherspoon intentionally confronted the monster instead of hiding.
Yeah.
He was showing off.
That's kind of a good point. Is that Spoon did step up and be like, hey.
Yeah, and I don't understand how Malcolm's to blame for it, but it's a weird thing for Dragon to say.
But it's a public perception thing. Like, presumably Weatherspoon might have a mother or a father who basically is pissed at Malcolm for letting him get killed, and then it gets into the press, and then it becomes like a thing. Malcolm's not responsible, but the public sees him as responsible, much like Dragon.
Guess. I just thought it was weird for Dragon to say that.
Well, I think he's just given Malcolm some sage advice that, learn from my example. The things you do eventually come back to haunt you. Even if they're not your responsibility, you've got to take responsibility.
That fits, I think, really well when you think of it that way, because Malcolm's whole thing is he's like, I didn't mean to kill her. She was choking me. So it's kind of one of those things like, yeah, he didn't mean for the spoon to get killed, but, it's kind of like you can justify it however you want. When people see, things, they're going to make their own opinions. I guess that works, yeah.
And then I also learned a new word. I had no idea what the hell Husgau meant. I'd never heard that before.
You'd never heard that?
I have never heard. I don't know why. I just never heard that. I guess it's a term for prison.
It's old-timey talk.
It's like based on like Spanish language or some Spanish word.
The big house.
Prison.
It is like paddy wagon. The slammer.
And I have to admit, I love bearded dragon, all grizzled. Looks kind of cool.
My favorite dragon facial hair. Such a coincidence. Didn't I mention it last issue? It shows up later.
Handlebar mustache.
Now would be a good time for Santa Claus to show up again and put him back in the sleigh.
Fantastic.
Be a good time for him to take up the Santa Claus role again.
All he needs to put on those round rim glasses, and we got it.
So moving on, we get the scene with Cyril and Ferris, which was Bloop and Animal.
They're a lot more handsome now.
Yeah, and they're back to normal humans. since the gate changed them back, and they came to visit their mom, who's also Jennifer's mom.
You know they've turned another leaf because they're wearing sweater vests.
Sweater vests.
Douchebags.
So I guess we just get closure there on that. They just talk about being a normal family again, and they're making peace with their mom or something. I don't know.
Now you guys probably don't remember this any better than I do, but I could have swore that Miss Murphy here was senile the last time Dragon talked to her. I take by your silence that you don't remember either.
No, I do remember that, but I mean, she still may be. I mean, who knows?
One of her good days. I don't know. I just could have swore that when Dragon went to her for help, she was like useless.
Yeah.
And now she seems a bit more coherent, but I don't know.
She even remembers a few years back.
Yeah, I think that's what confused me, because I could have swore that her memory was going, and that she could remember something like that in this scene. It just seemed strange, but I might be misremembering or reading too much into it.
Sadly, this is where my lack of interest in like their family, I just don't remember. I forgot that he went and talked to her mom, Jennifer's mom, at any point.
It was in the Godland issue.
I totally glazed over. So, yeah, I forgot all about it. Like I said, doesn't slow the book down for me. It's just a page. Oh, it's 2 for you,
It is 2 for me. I got to deal 2 of these pages.
Hate it. Where's your beloved digest now? No, but it was, it's just a page. It didn't bother me. I was like, okay, if these characters need closure, I guess they're getting it. So, good deal.
So, we get another, like, where one family closes, another opens up to us.
This page is awesome.
Yeah, Maxine is introducing Malcolm to her family finally.
I love the judgmental look of silence.
I don't know what it is, but I love this sort of Malcolm stuff with him just trying to deal with like normal stuff. It's like he's so out of his element, or like
it's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. It's great.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, you think Peter Parker, what was so great about Peter Parker? It wasn't how awesome a Spider-Man he was. It was that he had to deal with his normal Spider-Man stuff too. I mean, like a normal teenager stuff plus being Spider-Man. So when you got like superhero Malcolm trying to make a good impression on his girlfriend's parents, it's nice.
I like how he doesn't like the cuisine.
He's not a big fan of dim sum.
Craig, the word that I didn't quite get is at the very last panel where Maxine goes, snag. I was like, huh?
And she's going to eat it.
Oh, okay. She's reaching over to get it.
See her hand?
Oh, that's her hand. See how it's not green?
Ah, God.
Yeah.
I think I made that same mistake, actually.
Oh, you think Malcolm eats like double-fisted chopsticks?
He's got the hands for it. He's a big guy. I don't know what I thought. I feel like a total ass now. She's clearly reaching over to get his stuff. I prefer to think in my world he double fists the chopsticks.
So you asked me to tell you which part was better digest than full size. And this next scene, if you look at the full size issue, you get the Church of Savage Dragon. Their scene is almost combined, and it gets a little confusing with the dragon talking to his lawyer scene. So you get like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 panels of the church. And then the next panel, it's Dragon talking to his lawyer Smith. But if you're just following panel to panel, you don't know who's talking with that bubble. Do you know what I'm saying here?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
My problem is, I guess I didn't have a disconnect. Like the minute I saw, to me, that's kind of like your standard shot of Stronghold Penitentiary.
Right, and it works. But if you looked at it on the digest version, those first 4 panels of the church people are on one page. So when you flip the page,
I get what you're
you're
saying.
into your next scene.
You know what it is? The background color is the same.
The sky. Yeah, the sky
color's
could be
the same,
different.
so it's hard to tell it's been a scene transition because once you get in the prison, it's got this green tint to it, so you can tell it's another scene.
Yeah, but it would. I mean, to the credit of the colorists, they're right outside the prison.
Yeah, I mean that's
So it would be weird to have the sky a different color because it would almost indicate like a time change
Right.
too or something.
That's true,
Yeah,
but it's almost like
good
a
point.
color tangent. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
But
point.
but again, it was written for the digest, so it works, as a flip of the page, and that's one thing that's a little, you wouldn't really notice it if you didn't read the digest, but reading the digest, it works better.
Yeah.
As separate pages.
You know what I like? That Helen Page is still around.
Yeah, me too.
And that she's as crazy as ever in dealing with these crazy people.
Yeah.
I like that she didn't just go away because that makes her previous story arc thing not feel so much like house cleaning. Because it kind of...
She's still as fanatical as ever. She's like a member of the church.
Yeah. And it's a logical place for her to go, too.
Right.
I like Smith. Poor bastard.
He's got the hardest job in the world.
Yeah. That's why he's bald. Stress. I love this next scene. Is that pure Malcolm Gold, Malcolm Maxine Gold. Anytime these two are on the same page, doing normal. You know what's so funny? So here's what I was gonna say earlier, and I forgot. Okay, so the Savage Dragon family stuff. I think you guys were divided. Didn't you say you loved it, and one of you was like didn't care or whatever?
Right.
But this stuff works for me so much better. Because I guess, I don't know, like reading about a guy and his home life and his wife and his like bratty little kid, that's not maybe the best reading. Not everybody can so much relate to that.
Right.
But everybody has been trying to impress their hard-to-impress girlfriend.
Right.
Even
or at least we can relate to it.
Or can relate to it, exactly. Or the parents disapproving of you. It's good stuff.
I'm also a big fan of Malcolm's yellow pineapple swim shorts.
Yeah. They're awesome.
Well, you know what? You guys, did you catch what happened here in this scene? Malcolm has effectively proposed to Maxine.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
more
a big
or less. And he's just like, hey, just be patient.
Yeah, but he's also 16, so
Yeah.
it really doesn't mean much.
He's banking on her getting blown in half.
Jesus.
Yeah, let's not. Let's hope not.
Yeah, sure, I'll marry you. Whatever, baby. Yeah, you can have 2 rings.
Didn't you read my dad's book? All normal, non-powered girls get killed eventually.
Yeah, exactly. I'll invite Overlord to the wedding. He can walk you down the aisle.
Well, that's one thing I'm surprised that her parents would let her hang around with him just for that.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd, but I don't know. Superhero universe. Rules don't apply.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of this next scene. And
Is it because
I know-
Dart? It's Dart, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge Dart fan. I like her, but I like evil Dart and stuff. But I just like that she's taken on, Vicious Circle members that are loyal to Fire. What's his name? Firepower.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The new head of the VC. So you got a bunch of VC goons, old school guys mixed with some of the newer guys, and basically, they're like, oh crap, Dart's coming in. She's already killed. What do they say? She's already killed 8 guys, or she's already killed 8 Vicious Circle guys, and she's taken out everyone loyal to Firepower. And one of the guys is basically like, so what? She's a girl with a sword that throws darts at people, and it's famous last words.
I'm not sure she's thrown a dart at anyone lately.
No, she's got those
Freaking
God
God
sword.
That thing's absurd.
Until
So
they
let's talk. Go ahead.
I was gonna say until they invent the God Dart, I don't think she has a reason for that.
Maybe she can melt down the sword into like little darts.
Sometimes I wonder about the God sword. Like, how do you put it down without it falling through the earth?
Yeah. Maybe there's
It's
a
like-
God sword holster.
I don't know. My assumption is it's basically a magic sword that cuts anything it touches. It basically you don't need to actually put any effort into cutting someone apart.
That would be the only way I could see a sword as being extra badass, is if it would just cut through whatever like it was air.
Right, exactly. I mean,
Like hot knife through butter.
I mean, it's called a god sword for a reason. I mean, it's related to the god gun, so my assumption is like it's stupid, powerful artifact.
Yeah.
But it does seem to, I don't know. It's cool. It's a cool weapon, but I think Dart needs a little bit of a challenge. She's kind of cutting through these guys a little bit too easily.
Right.
I think that's the point, though, is like raising her game, just making her be like, oh, she throws Dart, she sucks.
Right.
I hated Dart.
Oh, I love Dart. I love Dart. She's got the
I was-
great costume, and she's a great finesse superhero.
I was just one of the haters, though. I did not like the little like triangle with the dart on it on her forehead.
That's a little goofy, but
I hated Dart, but evil Dart, I love.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the guy she kills.
oh, do we know any of them?
Of course. So the first two guys she kills is Misfit, who's just showing up in one of those like squares during the gang war issues in like the 20s.
And now the back of his
We'd
head
never
revealed.
Yeah, he's the guy with the funky looking hair, like the bald spot in the middle and the big long strands of hair on the top of his head.
Like Wolverine
And-
going bald.
Wait, you mean the guy with the Superman shield on his chest?
No,
No,
Oh,
the
oh,
guy
you
with
mean the
blue
purple
hair.
guy with
Yeah.
the blue hair? Okay. I thought you were talking
The guy
about,
with,
the foreground character.
The guy that's got the Superman type symbol on his head. He's got a big old, looks like a lion mane. His name is Mane Man.
Oh my
He
god!
He's kind of a newer guy. He's showed up post like 100. And then of course you get Raw Dog, who's a fan favorite. I hate to see him go. He's the guy that's all green with like the red circles on his head and
Yeah.
crazy looking armor.
Oh yeah.
He's always kind of been around. And I know a lot of people liked him, so it sucks that he's gone. Then the fourth person to die is Roy Robot. He's basically the guy who's like, so what? She's a girl with a sword. He just looks like a robot with little antenna ears.
Well, he may not be dead.
Yeah, who knows? So he's gone. And then the last panel, you get a whole bunch of like guys dead. You get, let's see, Mega Maniac, who's kind of like an evil version of Savage Dragon's Mega Man guy. Do you remember the Mega Man guy that went after Dragon way back when and he touched the third rail?
He's the one with the blue face armor with the hair coming out the top.
Yeah, so I guess that's the evil version, Mega Maniac. Then you get
I'm thinking in the first panel, he's the blue one with the O on his chest.
Yep.
That guy. Okay.
Yep.
And then
the final panel of the I'm looking at the final panel of the scene where Dart's just sitting in a whole massacre.
talking to all the severed heads. It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah, the guy with the goggles is Bradley Peckerwood.
Fantastic.
He's only shown up in the Dragon series #2, which was a reprint of the miniseries. He was in one of the extra pages that Erik put in.
Okay.
Wow.
Then you get Lone Rider, who's the guy with like this kind of spiky hair, whose head is sitting up on a box.
Yep.
Okay.
Same thing. He showed up in the Dragon #2. And then you get Plague, which is like the guy with the red head that's got the little like bluish mohawk. He showed up in Gang War in one of the boxes.
Well, there are a lot of guys in this warehouse apparently.
Then there was Tech, whose head is next to Plague. He's the robot head.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like that
Actually-
dude's helmet.
Nope, he's Tech 2, because there was already a guy named Tech. If you look it up, you can look all this up on the Savage Dragon wiki. And if you look behind Dart's leg, the guy with like the wide eyes is Shaggy Mane. Is the severed head.
I was wondering who that was because his eyes are so cartoony. I was
Yeah,
like, who
he
is-
was also one of the guys from the Gang War issues who showed up in like one of those little like individual square panels.
Okay.
So basically, there's 10 guys right there she just took out.
Good grief.
That's why Evil Dart kicks ass. And this book needs an ass kicker, like of huge proportion. Like, weren't we just crying? I wasn't, but you guys were. About how, like, they needed an overlord-like presence.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. If Dart rose to prominence, and basically the God Sword is like the equivalent of Overlord just incinerating some guy who bothered him.
Exactly.
That would be pretty cool.
Remember how he would just throw his hand out and boom, your legs?
Boom, your legs.
God Sword's the same way.
Boom, your pieces.
Yeah. Exactly. Giblets. Well, fantastic detective work, Craig. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
I thought some of those guys were the same guy.
I think it's actually just kind of fun trying to like look at that and guess who's dead because it happens so much.
Didn't he make a thing? He's like, if I made a big deal over every time like a character got killed, every issue would be a big deal.
Oh, Erik said that, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said that on his like Twitter or something.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like he kills so many dudes.
So let's move on to this next scene, which kind of opens up the major scene of this issue of Mako finally confronting Dragon, who's in the mess hall, kind of eating.
With the best facial hair ever.
Oh, that's right. He's got the Hulk Hogan going on now.
Exactly.
Handlebar mustache. I love that.
He shaved at some point.
You can kind of see that there's some guys like behind them eating on their kind of cafeteria tables, and you see Pucker and Ugly Johnny. And the funny thing on this scene is you don't see Ugly Johnny's right ear. Because remember, didn't Dragon bite it off on the last issue or rip it off? So you're wondering what's going on there. But we'll get to that in the next couple of pages. So anyway, it's Mako confronting Dragon, and
it's a great joke about the last meal.
Yeah,
I was like, that shit's funny. I'm sorry.
It's just typical Dragon. It's gonna be your last meal. I wish you told me earlier. I would have gotten the meatloaf.
Fantastic. That's great. It's laughing in the face of danger without even looking away from your burger.
I like when the end of this scene, they kind of pan out on that panel and like the whole cafeteria is empty, like everyone kind of moved back.
Yeah. Don't do anything you'll regret. Good stuff.
Pretty sure Mako's well beyond the regret phase of his life.
And I know it's because he's got a shark head, but don't you feel like Mako doesn't really seem like he's lost his edge, whereas Dragon is clearly not quite the ass kicker he used to be?
I kind of like Mako's kind of got sharks in the wild, if you watch nature documentaries, they show a lot of their scarring from all the fighting they do in their lives. Yeah. Mako's got that going on with his face.
Yeah, he looks grizzled.
He's got all the scars around his mouth area.
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
His head. And I think that's kind of a good way to show how much this guy has gone through his entire life.
Yeah.
Much like Dragon's crow's feet.
I have to admit, though, Dragon with like the handlebar mustache looks like more of an ass kicker. He looks grizzled.
He is badass with that facial hair. I'm telling you, it's the bomb.
I didn't really think about this, but goddamn is his hair white.
Yeah.
It's like grandpa white. He's not that old.
Isn't he like 50-ishes?
Still, though.
I know
some people go white. Yeah. He's, you don't know. Maybe it's his race. I mean, they go white earlier or something.
There's a lot of white facial haired old dudes in that Zero issue.
That's good. I didn't even think about that. That's an interesting thing to check on.
Plus, we never know. He never has more hair than arm hair or chest hair.
His 5 o'clock shadow is always black, is all.
Oh, yeah. And he did have the mustache at one point. Yeah. You're right. It's just a good look for him. The stubble and everything.
Get Gavin on the phone. He'll be the facial hair police.
I just like that it changed mid-issue. Because Savage Dragon is supposed to be like a month's time per issue. So it's just that nice little touch to remind you that, time has passed.
Yeah, definitely.
And then on the next page...
Yeah, the next scene we get Malcolm kind of... Mrs. Darling teaching Malcolm how to drive in a way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Raven, this is where the regular size book is different than the digest. this is almost like one scene where you get Malcolm and Miss Darling talking to Frank Jr., and it's all on the same page. In the digest, you see, Miss Darling and Malcolm on one page, and then on the following page you see, Frank Jr. and Tiara.
Oh, so it's a better
so
surprise.
They split that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's not really a surprise, but it just kind of helps you break the scene up with two different locations.
There's a little bit of a surprise in there. I mean, the phone call comes and then you turn the page and it's Frank and he's in the hospital.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, it's not a huge surprise, but it's a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Because I immediately, you know how it is, I flip the page and boom, pregnant, pantsless. I'm like, okay, there we go.
Right.
I knew that's what the call was going to be about. So,
yeah,
I could see that, yeah, where the digest headed over it.
Well, the digest also has over is when you turn the next page.
Brackabadoom.
That is
That's the double page splash.
And can I say, from a sound effect, because we were bitching about sound effects, I am A-okay with that Brackabadoom. I love that tune.
Looking pretty nice.
Actually, you know what? This whole issue, the sound effects were pretty good in my mind. They weren't as jarring as before, so I don't know if I'm getting used to it or if they're just doing a better job with them.
Yeah, the lines look thicker.
I want to say it's getting better because, even on these sound effects, there's more variety.
Yeah. There's a few that look really good.
I love the Brackabadoom.
The Chuman looks pretty good.
I'll tell you the page I like when we get to it, but there's some good ones there that look not too bad.
While we're looking at this page, I'm sorry, but I just had to bring this up. This is such a word, so I would just call this comic trivia. Do you see how the lines come off the edge of the panel?
Yes.
Did you know, Jim, in manga, there is an assistant that is his lone chore
to draw speed lines.
No, to do well. There's one for speed lines, but there's a guy that does cleanup on the ones that go past the border.
Oh.
Just a little extra thing. Erik makes this book alone. I'm just saying, no assistant to get rid of the speed lines. But it's just a little thing I noticed. Has no point, no value to that. Sorry. It's just a little Easter egg if you like, comic creation facts.
But I love that double page spread. It's pretty nifty.
Thrakachoom.
It's just a good scene with both guys pummeling the crap out of each other.
Yeah, this is the Mako dragon fight we've all been waiting for.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome. This was a great fight.
And the thing about this fight is interesting is that basically Dragon is on the receiving end through most of this.
Oh, yeah. He's getting his ass kicked good.
He gets his licks in, but almost right from the get-go, Mako's the one on top.
Right. I love the scene. There's not much to talk about. You just have to look at it, and it's a visual feast. But I love the panel where Dragon just clocks Mako, and you just see teeth flying all over the place.
Thakachoom.
I want to say it's Thrakachoom.
It's an R. Okay, Thrakachoom.
Yeah.
And was that the sound effect you like? Because I like that sound effect because
I like it, but that's not the one.
Okay, I like this one because it's behind the art.
That is awesome because that took the extra effort to make it look more like a traditional hand effect.
Yep, definitely. I agree.
I respect and appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely... I think one of the first issues where it was digitally lettered, the sound effects were they really look like just stickers.
Yeah.
That were just kind of slapped on the same line weight. And this issue, it looks totally different, and I'm totally okay with it. And the sound effects look really good. There's a wide variety, all done different ways.
They change colors a lot.
They blend in with the artwork.
The thing about this page is interesting between the digest and the regular. In the regular, the Dragon Punch and Mako page is like half page spread with the two panels underneath. In the digest, Dragon Punching Mako isn't a full 2-page spread. It's like 3/4, and the bottom 2 panels are on the side. I think that's an interesting change of orientation.
All right, cool. It's just awesome fight scene, and this leads into
babies.
Oh God, this stinking kid. I just know something bad's gonna happen.
There's a scene here though which is pretty telling, and it's a pretty. I think Eric's a great storyteller. The way he designed this. If you look at the panel where it's like, there's a panel where Frank's talking to Malcolm, and he's like, Tiara and I have been talking it over, and I think we're gonna take you up on your suggestion and move back in with Mom for a little while. And he's like, basically, Mom can help out with the baby, and it'll give me some time to get my act together. And then there's a panel after, so he's saying that to Malcolm, and then there's a panel of Malcolm just no words, just kind of just looking at him.
I think Malcolm,
it makes you pause, and it gives you the idea. So he's pausing, and then it goes to the next panel, and he's like, then he goes, "That's great." And then Frank's like, "You okay, Malcolm?" And he's like, "It's all good, man. It's all good." So it kind of gets you the feeling that Malcolm's kind of like, "Oh crap, he's moving back in." Like, I think Malcolm's gonna start thinking he needs to find his own place.
Yeah, that's my thought. Is that basically he's thinking it's gonna be a little crowded with 2 teen parents and a baby.
Plus,
well, basically, in his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be.
Oh, the ex-girlfriend part. I didn't even think about that.
That'd be kind of rough. I mean, that's a tall order, like having to deal with your ex-girlfriend moving in with you with the guy she's with, who is also like your stepbrother. It's kind of it's too much. I would want my own apartment.
So I thought that was a cool little scene, and I think Erik did it.
I like the expression. I like the expression of Frank Jr.'s face too, because it's like, again, it's subtle, but there's like a lot of like. A lot of emotion in that like expression. It's good stuff. Killer like storytelling on this page.
Yeah, agreed.
And we keep turning the page to like awesome stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly. I hate babies. Turn the page. Yes.
Meanwhile, in prison, arms ripped off.
Freaking.
This is
awesome.
This was the sound effect I like. The scrutch where he's ripping. There's this. For the listener, we're talking about the scene where there's the first scene where Mako's biting Dragon's arm off, so grabbing him by the head and just ripping his arm off with his mouth, and you get that scrutch, and it looks like a Chris Eliopoulos type scrutch that was hand drawn. It's a really cool sound effect.
I think that's what matters so much about these, like the sound effects and stuff on this one, is they went to a lot of effort to not have it be uniform, because the hand-drawn ones weren't uniform.
Yeah.
So awesome. So good.
And that's a splash on the digest.
It sure is.
And it's a great splash. And I love, like we was talking about, I mean, how many panels had speed lines in this issue, which really, like, draw your eye and just convey a sense of just nonstop going back and forth, things are just getting ripped apart and knocked out, and people are flying all over this cafeteria.
Yeah, what's awesome is it's a great, like, storytelling thing. I think that, like, for a while the book had gotten away from speed lines, and then, like, they've come back. And I think it's a fantastic storytelling thing, not just for, like, the sense of pace and action and stuff, but if you watch movies, even in, like, movies, in action scenes and stuff, sometimes the focus will drop out and only be on the main characters in the background.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so you get that effect just through speed lines. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Comics are so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Stinking.
I love the globs of blood, and Erik draws the best kind of blood trails just flying around, and
all the ink splatter.
Somebody bust out the toothbrush on this one.
And then we see that Ugly Johnny guy, and we do notice that he's got a bandage over his ear. And his ear is gone.
I did not notice that. That's so awesome.
This is a kind of a subtle thing, and I don't know if Erik did this on purpose or not, but there's on this scene where Mako and Dragon are battling, you see, a bunch of the Vicious Circle inmates. So you see Ugly Johnny and Gemhead and Pucker, and in their panel, you get some of Dragon's speech bubble in there, and he says, so basically he gets his arm ripped off, and he says, that arm, he's talking to Mako, he says, that arm will be back, and the things I'm going to be ripping off of you won't. And, it's, while he's saying that, you see, Ugly Johnny with his ear gone. So it's kind of a cool little storytelling device where he's kind of talking about ripping things off of Mako that aren't going to grow back, and you see Ugly Johnny with his ear missing because he's already gone through it.
That's an excellent point. I did not even notice that.
I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it fits well.
He should totally lie now. We're like, oh yeah, it totally meant to do it. Also, that, I'm sorry. I know we're trying not to be panel by panel, but I guess there's just so much kick-ass stuff going on. It's hard not to. But just that grizzled expression on that last look, on the won't, it just looks.
Oh, Dragon's face. He's just gritting his teeth and he looks just like an old tough bastard.
Yeah, he looks gnarly, like Clint Eastwood.
But basically, he's losing a lot of blood, and he's getting weaker, and Mako knows it. And as we go along in the scene, he's just starting to get the best of it. And I love that scene where he's like, it's over, Dragon, and then he grabs Dragon, and, Dragon's trying to shake him off, and you just see Dragon see, damn it. He's just Dragon's getting frustrated because he's getting bested.
It's awesome.
And it's amazing. I mean, think about it. You're fighting a guy with a great white shark head. The guy's just biting the crap out of you. It's like battling a great white shark,
There's not really a good place to punch because Mako's, rock solid muscle-wise, so you're not going to, land a gut blow without that giant mouth being there.
Giant mouth with razor-sharp teeth just continually biting you.
I like how, Dragon is pretty smart here. He, Mako gets a grip on his arm, and then Dragon uses that to beat his head against the floor.
But he's just not doing it hard enough, and Mako just basically bites his other arm off. And then at that point, it's like, what do you do when you have two missing arms?
Spit all your teeth out. Machine gun.
Yeah.
He's disarmed.
Yeah.
But
and I love how we get the thoom, 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 and it's basically just Mako beating on Dragon's torso or head or whatever, and that's very reminiscent of kind of like how Chris Eliopoulos used to letter. I mean, I know he's doing the digital lettering, but it's very reminiscent of how he used to hand letter.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's definitely one of those visuals that is a Savage Dragon visual. So to see the thoom, 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 all in a line, all uniform and stuff, it's fantastic.
Yeah, this fight was just so fun.
And I know how we've been talking about, the digest version's better than the regular size,
Yeah,
but I feel like on this next scene, the regular size page comes out better than the digest version. It's just,
I see what you're saying. I'm checking the other copy, just because all the panels are there.
The thoom,
12,
thoom, thoom,
12
thoom.
panels all the same size of Mako just pounding Dragon into the ground.
Because that's
They're all on one page on the full size version.
I don't know.
Split over two.
Yeah, but in my copy, I can only see one half at a time.
Uh-huh.
But in the printed copy, it would be a 9-panel grid sideways. It'd be almost a double-page splash of those.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
In the
it's 12 panels.
It's 12 panels, so you got 3 rows of 4.
Right. So in this case, there would be 2 rows of 3 on 2 pages next to each other.
Oh, so that's how the digest did it. Okay.
Yeah. Although it wasn't presented going all the way across and then all the way across again. It's done in a 6-panel grid on each page.
Something cool then that I can comment on that the colorist did on the print edition the not digest version is the transition all being on a single page from the first panel to the 12th panel, it goes from a dark,
Lighter.
deep red, yeah, and it gets like to orange, then yellow, then light yellow. And it's just that's a really cool, subtle sort of like sequential thing with coloring. It's very awesome. I mean, the colors were way on point, but I mean, it's like thoughtful too. It's great.
And are they doing the same thing this issue, where the character in the forefront is kind of shaded and the background characters are more solid?
I don't know. The fight took place in a grayscale prison, so
it seemed to me that they were.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit. It would have been if they were doing full color. I believe the background probably wouldn't be much different.
Yeah.
Just because of the location.
And I love to move on the scene. I love how Mako is just about to finish Dragon and he gets robbed.
Oh yeah.
Because
poor bastard.
Yeah, the freaking guards finally show up.
And they got these huge laser cannon devices, and they just blast the crap out of Mako.
Man, it must be cool to have laser guns in a superhuman prison.
I know.
Yeah, I do love how Erik kind of draws this technology where they have these big laser guns, but they're connected to these giant hoses, so they're not very mobile.
Yeah.
So you can kind of you put two and two together that it probably took them a while to get everything hooked up and
they got like
down this hall and ready to go to blast these guys. So it gave them time to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah. Now the real question is, of course, Mako gets robbed because he gets shot.
Mm-hmm.
Is he dead?
Doesn't
I don't think
look
so.
fatal.
Yeah, it doesn't look fatal. I
Yeah.
mean, one's in his arm, one's in his shoulder, one's in his gut, but I'm sure Mako's tough enough.
Yeah, there's no way he's gonna die that way.
Nah, he's just too tough. And I mean, also too, none of those. It's very clearly defined, like where the bullets or lasers, I guess I should say, went, and I just don't see that being the end of them.
Yeah, but I have to say this issue cemented Mako's kind of place in Dragon lore as one of, his worst villains.
Yeah, I mean, basically Mako wins here.
Oh yeah. Like if the guards weren't there, Dragon would have been dead.
One-on-one, no
it
weapons or anything, Mako wins.
Yeah, doesn't Mako pretty much win every one of their engagements and something gets in the way?
That's pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Dart's head gets in the way.
Oh, it's just funny.
The placement of one of those lasers, you kind of see it come out his front, and then you see it on his back. I kind of wonder if they hit his spine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can the book handle
I tend to doubt
paralyzed?
I don't know. I think Mako will be all right. We'll see though.
He's a
Who knows?
paralyzed shark man. Your life can't get much crappier.
So, just to wrap things up real quick, we get two pretty good reveals here at the end, like two epilogues.
Yeah.
Yep.
Osgood puts on the Dread Knight armor, and he swears revenge upon the Savage Dragon.
And then the real cliffhanger no one saw coming.
Well, he calls himself the Knight. Is that like?
I don't know if he's just using a
armor,
play
or is
on
that just a
words.
name he's chosen?
No, because he says soon Savage Dragon will face the new Dread Knight.
Oh, it's called Dread Knight. Of course, I'm an idiot.
It's okay, Maxine's hand. Snag. I had my moment. You had to have yours.
The thing I like about, why I like the digest better is that last page is a splash with Dread Knight. Well, it's not really the last page, but since it's a splash, and if you're flipping through the digest, I mean, you don't know how many pages are left in the story.
No.
It just seems like that's the last page of the main story, and you're like, oh shit, Dread Knight's back. And then you turn the page, and then you get this other epilogue, kind of.
And this is the craziest epilogue.
I know. This was the what epilogue. Shao Kahn, apparently.
Hey, oh God.
You weak, pathetic fool.
Mortal Kombat.
It's awesome. I'm not knocking it. It's just sort of like, is this a guy we know?
No, I don't believe so. But it's just who this is. I mean, of all the random people that Malcolm's run across, she's the one that holds the grudge.
I love it.
And so for the listener, we're talking about the last scene, and it's, you see someone in a winter kind of coat, looks like they're in the Himalayas or some kind of mountainous, cavey place, and we get this crazy villain sitting on some kind of crazy throne with flames all around it, and this person in their winter gear is approaching them, and it turns out to be Brenda Funk, who's Adrian Witherspoon's girlfriend, you'll remember.
The spoon.
And she's looking for some kind of power from this guy to take her revenge on Malcolm.
The first of his, well, I guess not the first of his rogue gallery.
I would say she's like got to be fifth or something. It's kind of surprising. I didn't see the spoon's girlfriend coming in as a villain.
Yeah, I mean, so she leaves school and hikes the Himalayas or wherever to find this guy.
That's what I do.
This is just north of Chicago.
Yeah, it's the middle of it's Canada.
It's Canada.
It's like it's Ottawa.
That's where he's like, you can't read it in the word balloons. He's like, what reason have you come, eh? Did you bring Tim Hortons, child?
Eh?
Who are you, eh?
Did you catch the abs, eh?
Fantastic. I love that Brenda Funk, of all people, is seeking to get power to get revenge on Malcolm. That's fantastic.
She's the new fiend.
You got it. Just begs like all the questions, right? Because I mean, honestly, we saw Dread Knight on the cover. We knew the Dread Knight Dragon prison fight's coming, and there was a little bit of curveball that it wasn't your ass. So it's like, okay, but the minute you see Osgood, didn't you kind of figure he was gonna be Dread Knight? And then he was, and I was like, oh, okay. But then you flip this page, and boom, here's your real cliffhanger twist ending.
Yep.
I loved it.
And I hope it's one of those things where, it just sets it up for like 5 issues later. I used to love back in the day when he used to throw some little scene out there and you wouldn't hear anything about it until like, 5 to 8 issues later, and then it would be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
That turned out to be super important.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, I'd love to say more, but my God, man, we've got 2 backups that kick butt too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this first backup, Flash Mercury and Powerhouse.
Fantastic.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's everything I ever wanted in a comic book.
It was totally caught me off guard. First of all, I didn't realize Frank Fosco was gonna be back. No one mentioned anything. Frank Fosco, the artist. So I was happily surprised to see that. And just the characters involved.
Okay. First of all, Powerhouse, everyone loves Powerhouse.
Right.
All right. I love Flash Mercury.
Yep.
And Fever's there too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And she's cool as hell too.
Yeah. And it just this little issue. I mean, what is it like? On the main comic, it's only like 3 pages, like on the regular size.
It's 3 pages.
And Frank Fosco is the master of, you got to give Erik credit too. I guess he wrote
Page economy.
But yeah, and giving you like a great story out of 3 pages or 4 pages. He did the same thing with the Vanguard serial.
Yeah. Absolutely. The amount of work done in just 3 pages is phenomenal.
It's satisfying
because there's
a story.
Fights. That's the thing, is it's not just, and you need panels for fights.
Yeah, I'm learning that as I pretend to write.
But it's just, it's kind of like, it's funny though, because even though this has fights, there's still very much a beginning, middle, end that's satisfying.
Yeah. And this whole comic gave me like a feeling of like a 70s Bronze Age kind of comic. It's
like Tomb of Dracula, starring Chicken Head Man.
Yeah.
This idea, just the idea presented by this comic, I mean, I'll save it to the end once they establish, because that last panel sort of sets the whole tone. But I would read the hell out of a series like this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're going to go we should go panel by panel, but I mean, it's basically them fighting Dr. Frankenstein because I guess he's terrorizing the village, and the village paid, Flash Mercury and Powerhouse and Fever.
He's terrorizing the countryside of Michigan.
That's what's so amazing is that you see what kind of looks like Frankenstein's monster in that very first panel.
Yeah.
And then boom, Frankenstein. What?
Actually, there's a whole bunch of like Promethean type monsters here. They're all Frankensteins.
Well, is this story the first time we actually learn why Fever is called Fever?
I don't know, but maybe.
I feel like I've never seen her do anything.
Except strip.
Other than strip, so yeah, I mean, it could very well be. I remember I was shocked when the snake made him, like, hallucinate. I was like, whoa, what?
Whoa, she's cool.
I didn't think they could do anything.
So it is a pretty cool episode there. Yeah, I know, a little mini backup, but
I'm gonna tell you guys a quick little story. I had this back like 5 years ago. I had this idea for a Savage Dragon backup that I kept trying to write but never got anywhere with, and it was basically Mako, Neutron Bob, and Low Blow in a van having adventures. So this is like the next best thing to that.
This is fantastic.
This is great.
The last panel where they're just like, they set up the idea that they are going around just beating up monsters.
Yeah, so it's like Heroes for Hire, Monster Hunters or Heroes for Hire.
It's like that show's Supernatural. if instead of like two brothers, you had like Powerhouse and Flash Mercury and Fever driving around beating up monsters.
In Flash Mercury's car, no less.
The Mach
I love
5.
that. I love how they just get in the car and just take off.
It's great.
Heading for Casper, Wyoming.
Solid gold. It's solid gold.
But that was just, it was a story that came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it, and wasn't expecting, Frank Fosco on art again, and I was just ecstatic over the story. I thought it was a great
I just like
quick
that Powerhouse
story.
is like being a hero.
Yeah.
But then we get the Deadly Duo back up. Do we actually want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, let's go through it quick. I mean, we'll talk.
This one was a lot sillier.
Well, I mean, it's the Deadly Duo. Did you expect? I thought it was okay. I love the art. I think Scott James is kind of in that Erik Larsen school of art. I think he reminds me a lot of like the same kind of stuff like Mark Englert was doing with Mighty Man.
Right.
It's very reminiscent. It's its own style, but you can tell it's got a good Erik Larsen influence. At least I think it does.
Yeah, I mean artistically, yeah, I totally get that. It's kind of got definitely the similar style. What I don't know what it was, but there was just something about the layouts that just didn't seem very interesting.
Yeah. Compared
to like the previous backup, which was intense as hell. Mm-hmm. Whereas this one was just like a bunch of boxes, and I don't know, it just didn't really click. And then when I of course read it in the digest first, and when I read it in the regular one, it almost seemed like some of the panels on the pages didn't fit together properly.
Gotcha.
I guess I'm not getting it. I mean, I could get where the layouts are kind of like more simplistic. I assumed that was a restriction due to the need for the comics panels to fit between both the digest and the normal issue.
Right.
So I didn't hold that against it because I think that would be a challenge. I mean, Fosco's backup pulled it off amazing. Larsen's did too. This one didn't fall flat for it, but I mean, I didn't think it made it fall flat, but I guess with you where it didn't do as much as I guess those previous ones did.
Also, maybe I didn't really dig the gag that the whole thing kind of hangs on.
I didn't like the punchline. The punchline was kind of like,
Yeah.
The art is amazing. The coloring is amazing. These are like scanned pencils, I think, which is fantastic. But the joke, I was just sort of like, because it just seems like
I mean, I guess you basically you're so used to Killcat getting rejected by everyone and everything.
Well, it's not
so
even that. He's just so
finally,
full of himself. Do you really believe that he wouldn't be able to like capitalize on this?
I don't know.
I don't know.
guess he's so used to getting rejected, like I said, that this one girl's all over him and he just can't handle it. But yeah, I think it fell a little flat. It wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. The joke, like you said, the punchline.
But you know what I think it might have been, honestly? I think it might have been that was such a killer issue. Then you had that killer surprise out of nowhere backup. And I was already stoked for this backup that I guess I just didn't think. I feel like I'm probably a victim of being overhyped at this point. Because I'm like, at this point, I'm like, yeah, every page. And then when the joke's like, oh, he doesn't know what to do with a woman.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I guess that villain, sorry, not to cut you off.
Sorry, I'll cut that out.
Ramrod, I've never seen him before. I guess he's a new guy. I wonder if that's a creation of Scott James or Erik or whatever. But anyway, and it should make a note that Scott James did color this as well. And like you said, Raven, the coloring is pretty cool.
I love it. It's great. Yeah, the art and the coloring is just top notch. It's fantastic. Who wrote this?
Erik did.
Larsen.
I know. I'm making jokes because we were just like slathering the previous stuff with praise. Who wrote this garbage?
So yeah, Savage Dragon 190, 2 issues in 1.
It was a darn good issue at that.
I still say that this book is absolutely like firing on all. In fact, I will even go further to say that like when you have like killer backups, to me that's like that's the best Savage Dragon can ever be, is when it's jumping all over with lots of plots and also has at least like a backup or two.
Oh yeah, the backups really what makes this experience what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just, this whole jail kind of saga or story arc has just been just incredible.
Yeah.
It's been one of my favorite arcs in a long time. I mean, there's been a lot of good ones, but I think this one tops it. It's everything I was hoping for. That when I heard that he was gonna do that, I just thought it was like just the perfect story to have in this book, and it's been rocking.
And if it's Dragon's last hurrah, I think it's a really good note to leave on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well.
So next episode.
Suppose we should. It is that time, isn't it? Is this Savage Dragon 191 or 192?
191.
191. Okay. Sorry, you can edit that out, Jim. Savage Dragon 192.
Nope.
191.
We got confused again.
Shit.
This was 190.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next episode is 191.
All right, take 3. Here, guys. Savage Dragon 190. 1. Jailbreak. As hundreds of inmates riot in an effort to escape from Stronghold Penitentiary, Dragon faces the deadly Dread Knight. The countdown to the biggest and most significant change for Savage Dragon ever continues.
Or at least the deadly Dread Knight's understudy.
Yeah, the Dread Pirate Osgood doesn't sound as good.
Oh, and one last note after this, I do want to mention that for those listeners out there that used to get us on imageaddiction.net,
yes,
everything from Image Addiction has been moved over to a new website called Comics Addiction, which has got pretty much the same kind of image podcasts that were on Image Addiction. But this website's a little more broader and has other, talks about, I think, all companies' kind of books. And we can be found over there. It's comicsaddiction.net. It's the same guys that brought you Image Addiction. It's just been, like I said, moved over there. So it's a slight change, but we'll post all the information on our website.
I think.
So, yeah.
Cool.
It's a move for the better. I have no idea. I'm just saying.
And also just, send us your questions, comments, and suggestions. Or just write us a note at savagefincast@gmail.com. We love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
And, we're always also looking for ideas. So if you have like some kind of segment or thing, that you'd be interested in hearing, format, something else you just want to hear from us, let us know.
Ask us our opinions. We have them.
Absolutely, guests. If there's someone you want to interview, we'll ask them. We got Pool.
Do we?
Well, I told Kirkman he wasn't allowed to be on the show.
Oh, okay.
So that's where that interview's gone. Nowhere. I said, sorry, we don't talk to people from Kentucky.
Raven.
Never mind
That's
all your
right.
successes.
Okay, so
That's that.
yeah, see you next time.
Thanks for
Farewell.
listening.
The Savage FinCast is hosted by the Gutter Trash Podcast Network, which can be found at guttertrash.net. The Savage FinCast is proud to be members of the Comic Addiction family of podcasts and the Comics Podcast Network, which can be found at comicaddiction.net and comicspodcast.com.